You are listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place. All right, we are recording.
Yes, indeed.
It has been a long time. But it's good to be recording again. It's summer 2025. You could probably hear a small child talking trash on Fortnite in the background. I'm sorry about that. They consumed too much pool water or got too much sun or something and got sent home. It's going to be a struggle.
It's going to be okay.
Okay.
It's going to all work out.
So it's a Michael episode today.
It is. It's actually a topic that my husband first suggested we do a story about. And the more we thought about it, we were like, this would be a great episode. But it's very different from pretty much any other episode we've done. I don't know. There is one episode, it is kind of like in the sense of something strange happening in real time in front of us.
And it's scary, but it's not spooky.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. It's scary, but not spooky.
The horror is real.
Oh, very. Oh, and I have personal experience with it. But we're going to talk about a phenomenon. I don't know how else to describe it. That happens in Durham.
It's a corporeal rider of doom. We've talked about ghost riders.
Yeah.
We've talked about, ghost trains. This is no ghost.
No.
This is a flesh and blood incarnate of doom on the road.
It's not unlike the various stories we have of phantom riders who ride on the road and send people who are driving careening off into the woods or whatever, or slamming on their brakes because they think that a physical rider has just appeared in front of them when it's an apparition, except that this is a real person in a real vehicle. We have talked about phantom horses and carry, all kinds of haunted roadway kind of stuff. And we've talked about cryptids, inexplicable experiences with what seems to be a physical entity, including one on a road in Durham.
Mm-hmm. Just appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, just appear out of nowhere. But this is different from that also. This is a really interesting Venn diagram of elements. We're going to be talking about a rare instance of getting to watch a legend form in real time and people experience it directly. This story is one part modern weird, and it's one part folklore. But also, this is a really good opportunity to talk about critical thinking and ways to verify a story and why that matters, and also the importance of keeping your eyes open at all times.
So for me, I know this as modern folklore because I have not experienced it, and I learned about it from Reddit. So when you said, are you familiar with this topic? I was like, vaguely, and I'm not going to research it anymore because I have questions.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. This is actually a topic that I think would in some ways be a great crossover with our other show. It's very strange. So we're going to talk about a phenomenon often referred to in Durham as stay-umble. The reason for that moniker will become apparent as we talk. I don't remember exactly when I first heard about this. I heard about it, though, when it started cropping up on social media. I think that probably Michael, my husband, was the first person to mention it to me. And then people I knew who lived elsewhere to mention it occasionally as, here is this thing that I read about on the internet. Is that true? It's really fascinating when that happens.
I first heard about it as a beware of stay humble.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you see this, get away.
And that's pretty good advice. In much the same way that if you see a Bigfoot charging towards you, probably a good idea to get out of the way. The story that I was told and heard and see repeated is that there is a person. I'm going to be very cautious in how I refer to this person. Frequently seen driving in Durham, North Carolina, that has been trying to instigate car accidents and has become so notorious that there is a social media phenomenon years long exclusively about them. And according to online accounts, a lot of those are on Reddit. This person will drive very slowly. They might partially drive off onto the shoulder as they do so. They might signal or use some sort of hand sign for the person behind them to pass them. They might run up behind somebody, tailgate them for a little while, and then speed around them and do a lot of really aggressive, inexplicable, unexpected driving behavior like that. Some of it really directly aggressive. Some of it just like, do they know what they're doing? Are they lost? Do they know where they're going? Why are they driving, 15 miles an hour in a 50-mile-per-hour zone? In those instances, according to these online stories, this driver will then attempt to force an automobile accident to occur.
Oftentimes successfully, is my understanding.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. That's an interesting part of the details.
Okay.
In these instances that I described, for instance, if they go really slowly and wave for somebody to pass, then they might swerve into someone's path as that person attempts to pass them and try to create an accident. They might tailgate somebody for a while, then zoom around them, jump back in front of them, and slam on their brakes and attempt to get rear-ended. They might brake check people. They might put on their emergency blinkers to indicate that they are about to stop. And then the person tries to pass them and then they speed up so that this person is stuck trying to get around them or get back behind them. A lot of weird behaviors are attributed to this driver. And it is also reported that this person will do all of these things while holding their phone out the window of their car, apparently trying to videotape what is happening, including whatever accident they might be successful in prompting to occur. Mm-hmm. A lot of people online will ponder, why would this person do this? Why would somebody try to get video of themselves forcing a car accident to happen? And a lot of people's sort of default answer to that is, well, it must be some sort of insurance scam, or maybe it's some sort of weird extortion thing. And I have seen people purely postulate. These people do not claim to speak from knowledge. They're just sort of spitballing what might be happening. But they'll say things like, well, if they're trying to get video of an accident happening, then they're probably trying to get some sort of insurance payout. Or maybe this driver, these people postulate, I want to be very clear, I am not saying that this is what happens, but there are people who postulate that this driver is trying to create a situation where they can claim that the person that they had an accident with is at fault, and then convince that person to just pay them for the damages, quote unquote, so that nothing gets reported to insurance. These are theories that are frequently floated about this driver.
I've heard some theories. Should I hold them?
Oh, no. Go ahead. Share.
So what I've heard and read online, and again, I have no direct personal experience, these are things that you can find on Reddit, is that this person, are we allowed to say stay humble?
That's what we're going to say. Absolutely. And we're going to talk about why we call them that.
Okay, we are going to get to that. So Stay Humble has over the years had, and this is something I wanted to ask about, multiple identities used to stay on the road.
That is a frequent part of the lore around this driver.
I just picture Stay Humble going back to the Stay Humble cave and having like a Jason Bourne style safe in their secret lair. And they're like, all right. And they like open it up. There's like a gold bar and 5 passports and a bag of diamonds. And like, which identity am I going to use today?
Right. That is definitely part of the lore around this driver, is that they're using a bunch of fake names or they're using a bunch of fake driver's licenses. These are all things that people will say they have heard or read about. I'm reminded again of the phrasing that my husband and I saw on Nextdoor one time, which was, I saw where they were saying. And there's a lot of I saw where they were saying regarding Stay Humble, but there are also a lot of facts that are on the record.
Okay.
But that is a frequent part of the lore, that this person has a ton of aliases that they use, and that has somehow thrown up enough dust that the legal system is not caught up with them.
Untouchable.
Yes.
A force of nature on the road.
Yes.
That nothing can stop.
And much the same way that Sasquatch like disappears behind a tree and is gone.
Mm-hmm.
This person disappears behind the tree of the legal forest, and is gone. All of those theories, as far as I can tell, are purely speculative. I have never seen anyone provide direct documentary evidence, especially, for instance, of the insurance scam theory. Mm-hmm. No, I've never seen anybody say, here is the public record of this person having gotten a payout or having been countersued or whatever. I can't find anything of that.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, but it is common to hear that theory online. As far as I could tell, almost nobody who is involved in conversations around Stay Humble has had direct experience of them. I am being very careful in this episode to not say this driver's legal name, though it is out there and their name is readily available to anybody who wants to find it. But I do not want this person's name to show up in the automated transcript of our episode. And that is why I am referring to them this way. And I realize that the way that I'm referring to them is equally discoverable and equally likely to be found. But also the way that we're referring to them as Stay Humble is how they are referred to online and just part of the lore. So I kind of feel like that's necessary.
And I hear like it's not even a thing anymore.
How do you mean? Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
You know what? Something just occurred to me. This is perfect. Our mid to late summer, because we slow down in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, we're slowly becoming a seasonal show, which is fine. But we always do a road trip episode.
We do.
This is our
perfect.
This is our road episode.
Yeah. What do you know? Look at that.
Yeah. Stay humble about it.
Right. I'll try. I'm not very successful with that. Neither are they, frankly.
Neither are they. Jinx.
Another reason why I'm not saying this person's legal name is kind of like when we did the Arcana episode a couple of years ago where I talked about the woman in white from Watts Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there who point at the name of a person and say that was the guy who murdered her.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'm not saying that those people should or should not do that. I don't have an opinion on what they do with their show, frankly. But I'm not a legal authority. I'm not the person that anybody has appointed or hired to be the judge of these things. And so I'm not really interested in assigning consequences to anybody else's actions or anything like that. I don't want to get involved in this person's life, is my point.
The humble life is a good life.
It is. And if that sounds
some people are like, what are they saying? Are they saying humble or are they saying humble? We're
about to get to that.
I'm just imagining somebody listening to me like, I cannot stand these guys. They go away for months and they come back with the stupidest crap. I can't even tell what they're saying. We'll get a nice hate letter about it.
Right. There are going to be people who are going to hear this and who think I'm being overly cautious. And those people are free to get their own show and say this person's name. Now, the thing is, like, why is this special? Why is this worth talking about? A lot of towns have a driver that people know to watch out for.
This is next level, Michael. Don't undersell it. Like, this is next level. Like, if you really dig into this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is next level. I grew up in a town where I was sandwiched between two drivers to watch out for because on the other end of the ridge that I grew up on, there was my cousin who was notorious for taking up 3 or 4 lanes on a 2-lane road. She had her 1975 Grand Torino sedan and she was all over the place in that thing. And everybody like would know and would talk about like, oh, I saw her out on the road and I got way out of it. And across the road from us on the other side was the guy who had lost his license a long time ago. So he would drive a farm tractor with a wagon behind it to the grocery store every couple of days. And he would be all over the road on that farm tractor doing 12 miles an hour. Would get to the grocery store and he'd pull up at the Ingalls. And there are going to be a bunch of people who hear that chain name and are going to be like, oh, that is Mountain right there. He would pull up to the Ingalls and take up like 6 parking spaces right in front of the doors with his tractor and his wagon. So everybody knew, stay out of his way too. This is different from that. This is totally a story of its own.
Intent matters here. Intent is what makes it unique.
Absolutely. And frequency makes it different. The part of this that really raised eyebrows first and made people start noticing this person was their vanity plate at the time, which was STAYUMBL. Or stay humble.
Stay humble.
It is like so deliciously incongruous that people had to start noticing because a person with a license plate that says stay humble was, according to the lore, all over the streets and roads of Durham and the back roads of the Triangle, trying to force everybody that they encountered to have an accident with them.
Inciting vehicular violence.
Yes. apparently that had been going for a while, and there were people who knew to watch out for this person. But this became a thing in the Triangle in 2019 when Stay Humble was recorded on a cell phone video doing this to a school bus. If you were listening and you were like, well, maybe this person just like encountered a bunch of really aggressive drivers and kind of like lost their temper for a second themselves. This person did this to a school bus. So
I'm laughing because the school bus was okay.
Right.
It wouldn't be funny if this was like a terrible school bus accident.
It would not be funny.
It would not be funny, but it is funny to picture somebody being like, oh, yeah. Oh, look at that one. I'm going to mess with that one. It's real big.
And I think the fact that this person gained notoriety first for a school bus incident is probably fuels some of the people who think that there must be a scam angle to it. Mm-hmm. You know, the notion that like, why would you go after something that's so obviously sensitive, high risk? I mean,
they're designed to keep, they're big, they're bright, they're yellow,
yeah,
flashing stop signs. Like they are designed for you to not hit them.
Yeah. According to news stories at the time, there were a lot of news stories on CBS 11. Or CBS 17. I don't remember which number they are now. There were stories on WRAL. There were stories in The Independent. There were stories in the newspapers, the Raleigh News and Observer, for instance, things like that. There were a lot of media coverage of this. According to those stories at that time, Stay Humble was accused of passing a school bus on a double yellow line on a 2-lane road, then cutting it off by swerving in front of it, slamming on their brakes to brake check it, then coming to a stop in the road with the bus stuck behind them, getting out, filming the bus driver, filming Stay Humble while Stay Humble yelled at the bus.
Filmception.
It was very filmception.
It's just
the bus driver said later in interviews that they recognized the license plate as having been talked about online, and so pulled out their phone, started recording because they were worried about like what was. So they had perfect video of Stay Humble standing there in the road with traffic passing, blocking their path, shouting at them, holding
humbling.
Up their phone.
They're just Stay Humbling.
A lot of humility on display.
Yep.
So after that, there was a lot of public attention on this because it was weird that had happened. And the bus driver obviously had a lot to be concerned about because this was their job. So they were not shy about reporting this to the school or to the school system.
No, I would.
Right. Yeah. Like I would immediately tell somebody if something like that happened to me. So that got some media attention. And there was also, this went very viral online when it happened. There was a ton of public outcry. Stay Humble was actually brought up on charges and taken to court. Mm-hmm. Local media got in on it even more at that point. There were a ton of news stories across a bunch of different media outlets. There was footage of this driver speaking in court, things like that. It's all readily Googleable for people who want to watch it. In the course of that court case and the subsequent investigations by local authorities and local media, it came to light that the driver, Stay Humble, had been involved in at least 30 accidents. And separately,
it's not funny, but it's funny,
right? It's so weird.
It's a complete failure of the system.
It's the sort of thing that you feel like has to be made up, you know? And separately from those 30 accidents, they had been cited for at least 30 moving and traffic violations.
How does this person still? It is you are not owed a driver's license.
And that's what a lot of people pointed out online. A lot of people were like, how has this happened? How is this person able to have all this happen? How did they even still have insurance?
Right.
Across those incidents, according to WRAL, Stay Humble had used 18 different aliases.
The Humble Cave, the Humble Safe has all the different ideas in it.
With all their interactions with authorities, they had used at least 18 different aliases.
Oh my gosh.
And they had at least one driver's license with a fake address.
Oh, I wonder if it was the address for Durham Bulls Athletic Park.
I don't know. That's a good question.
That's what I would do. I would just like pick the stadium. And like some massive public building. Be like, yeah, that's my address. That's what they did in the Blues Brothers.
Oh, okay. One of the common questions that arises when stay humble gets discussed online is how is somebody able to be involved in so many accidents and have so many violations and still drive? Pretty much what was discovered was that the
crime. It's crime.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to. It's illegal.
Yeah. The number of aliases across so many different violations involving so many different local authorities and local jurisdictions had basically made it impossible for any given violation to be connected to the others. And so it couldn't be seen as a pattern. So in 2019, as part of all of that attention, I'm going to say, after the bus incident, the Wake County, North Carolina District Attorney asked the DMV to merge the records of all the aliases that they knew about.
Yeah.
So that person's real name would be linked to everything involving those aliases.
Reasonable requests.
But across everything that I've read about this, I've literally never seen a follow-up that specifies whether that did or did not happen.
The secret ingredient is crime.
Yeah. As a consequence of everything, including the court cases against them in Wake and Durham counties at that point, the driver's license was confiscated temporarily and they were put on probation. But in the years since, this person's legal matters have continued, and it is a matter of public record that this person was interacting with the court system, is the euphemism I will use, as recently as last year on a variety of charges, including things like habitual felon. So why does any of that matter?
Because they're still out there.
And it's a fascinating phenomenon and worth discussing how a real person becomes a legend in that way.
Well, you wreck your car about 30 times and tell people it's their fault.
The thing is, though, this person's been driving the same car for a long time. I don't think that they've actually beaten their car to hell and back 30 times.
The Stay Humble Cave has a fantastic garage.
It's like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I'm literally picturing the Batmobile racing down a back road, leaves flying by, holographic rock, and the Stay Humble Mobile just drives through it. They pull in, immediately goes up on a lift, starts getting worked on and fixed. Meanwhile, they by helpers, and they go over to the safe. They put away their ID they just used to commit that crash. They pull out a new one for when the car is repaired.
Slap on a different temporary tattoo or something.
Yeah. Time to get back out there. There's cars that need wrecking.
It's like some guy with one of those suction cup guns who comes running up and popping out dents.
Yep.
Even at the time of the 2019 charges, so years ago, realized that all of this social media stuff that we've been talking about has now been going for nearly a decade. Even at that time, one of Stay Humble's public responses was to say that this was all a witch hunt, riding a social media frenzy, and that they would not be subject to so much attention, and people would not, the authorities would not care so much if it weren't for that social media attention being focused on them.
I wouldn't have got away with it if it weren't for your meddling kids.
And since then, those stories of sightings and direct encounters have only grown. They have expanded. r/Bull City, Reddit, subreddit, whatever it's called, is covered up in sightings and threads about Stay Humble. There are people on Reddit who will eagerly head there to post any sighting of this person. After the 2019 court case, the driver actually turned in that license plate, got rid of it, and got one that was just an ordinary series of letters and numbers that are the default for North Carolina license plates. And I remember seeing someone post a photo of the new tag on Nextdoor that they took in the parking lot while the driver was putting the new plates on. So an attempt to conceal who they were, or to just not be the focus of attention on the road, whatever you might want to see it as, was foiled immediately by somebody posting on social media.
I mean, when you're that large of a... You become a character.
That's the thing. This person has transitioned to some degree from being just a regular person into being a legend.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure where the boundaries are around that. I kind of think it's creepy that happened, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I kind of think maybe that was a public service, or at least done in the spirit of being a public service.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think that's likely the case.
And so, but I think it's worth thinking about. I think it's worth taking a step back and thinking about it. And then shortly after that, Stay Humble got a new vanity plate which has become equally infamous, which is yes, I can say it. I swear I can say it. I'm going to spell it. It is JESUSDOS, which people debate sometimes probably means Jesus does.
Jesus Disk Operating System?
But a lot of people are like, is it Jesus DOS? Is it Jesus DOS? What are we going for here? Command line operating interface for the Christ, or is it what is it? And if it's Jesus does, then what does Jesus do? So it's an interesting choice.
Stay humble.
It immediately became associated with this person, and now you'll see it described as a Jesus DOS sighting. Sightings of this driver are posted on Reddit, especially where drivers will record video of what appears to be this driver weaving in and out of traffic, cutting people off, swerving off the road onto the shoulder, holding their phone out the window of their car the entire time, brake checking people, everything you can imagine not wanting to see a car near you do. There are videos posted on Reddit of a person with that license plate doing those things.
Menacing the road.
So these are
menace.
Yes. Jesus DOS the Menace is a really weird Dennis the Menace reboot.
I just feel like we went from ironically bad to just straight up problematic.
Yes, very much so. So these are an extremely popular variety of post locally, to the point that there are also genres of, it's like subgenres of posts that are completely derivative. There's the I'm tired of Jesus DOS posts. There are the why are you still talking about this person posts. It's kind of like a thing I read when iPhones first came out. It was somebody, some market observer type person saying it's going to be a huge hit. They were certain of this. And the reason they were certain of it was because there were third-party accessories available. And they're like, anytime a product has third-party accessories as its own little mini section of the Best Buy, you know that product is going to be a hit. There are enough subgenres of Jesus DOS posts that you know it's a real phenomenon.
Yeah.
The day that I wrote up these notes, I checked that subreddit, searched for Jesus DOS, and that very morning, someone had posted a video that appeared to show this person doing all the usual stuff and more for a solid 5 minutes on one of Durham's busiest 2-lane roads.
You know, Reddit just gives and gives and gives.
It does. You know, it really does. There is so much information in there. In the same threads, people will post about non-driving interactions with the person that they believe or claim is this driver.
Interesting.
2 very commonly retold stories are that they supposedly, allegedly, that's a very important word, repeatedly visit a specific car dealership that does free car washes for cars to get serviced there to demand the free car wash, despite driving a completely different brand of car that they have not just had serviced there. Like, imagine that they're driving a Chevrolet, but they roll into a Ford dealership and demand the free car wash. And in that sort of branch of the lore, the story goes that the dealership has, like, all their staff have just been ordered to do the car wash and get them out of there.
This is terrible.
Right. It's really wild. Another common one is there is somebody who says that they work at a local movie theater and they think that that driver goes there frequently and is notoriously hostile. Just really, really wild stories there. There was even at one point a post by somebody who claimed to be a healthcare worker who had provided healthcare service to this person and said they, quote, behave as you would expect.
Well, that's a HIPAA violation.
Right. And multiple posts by people who said they live in the same neighborhood or they saw this driver in their neighborhood and witnessed them doing things like just randomly stopping next to them on the street and screaming out the window, all kinds of really fun stuff. So is any of this true?
I mean,
there's plenty of videos. Yeah.
There's videos. There's the court documents, the multiple identities thing. I'm like, okay, all right. I feel really vindicated. Yeah.
This is not like some, Bigfoot story that happened 150 years ago and everybody has to kind of decide whether they choose to believe. It's like all a matter of public record. It's in court records. It's on multiple media outlets, a result of their professional investigations as professional investigative journalists. This is the most well-documented story we will ever talk about. So yes, it is absolutely true.
If there were to be a series of action figures based on Durham public figures and history, I feel like Stay Humble would be the pack-in for the vehicle.
Yes.
Like they probably wouldn't get their own carded figure, right? Like, that would be for other people. But if there was a series of vehicles in this action figure line, Stamble would be the pack-in figure to push the vehicle.
Yes. I could imagine somebody hearing, well, there are people who say that they have videos of somebody having been aggressive on a street, and you don't really know what was happening at the time, and you don't know what happened right before they recorded or what happened right after. It could be edited, it could be fake, AI generated. There are a lot of ways that somebody can say this probably is not true. And I applaud that person's desire to do critical thinking. This hypothetical person, this straw man that I'm talking about, I applaud that desire to apply critical thinking and a little skepticism to what one encounters online. And I especially think of like ghost hunter shows where they saw something on the camera, quote unquote, and what they saw on the camera just happens to be the other member of the crew that was not standing or talking at the time wearing a hoodie, And in addition to all of that, it is a matter of record that this person has been in dozens of accidents. They've been cited dozens of times. The fact that it is easy for someone to fake something does not mean that nothing is ever real.
Right.
And I think that's a really important point from it. In fact, until a couple of months ago, it turns out I had never known exactly where this person lived, but in the course of reading about this, I found out where they lived. I lived around the corner from this person. I learned that first by encountering them on a street, a couple of streets over from where I lived on. I won't go into super deep detail about what this person was doing because I'm not interested in ever being dragged into any accusations or court cases with this person. I saw what I would describe as pretty erratic driving. I'm going to say this, and it's a joke, but it's also true. You have heard me rail against Elf on the Shelf as normalizing the surveillance society. Like there are going to be people who hear that and are like, that's ridiculous. And it's true. I despise Elf on the Shelf because I think it normalizes the surveillance society. And the incident that I had was alarming enough that when I got home, I said to my husband, I saw Stamble on the road there. I am going to get a dash cam. And I immediately ordered a dash cam. The entire time, I just kept thinking, what if this person forces me to have an accident with them?
Right.
The stuff that I saw was obviously a choice, not somebody having a little slip up.
Yeah.
So what's the point of talking about this person?
I don't know. It's a local legend.
Right. Yeah, it's a local legend. And I also think that this is the perfect overlap of modern weird meets folklore.
Yeah.
It is hilarious to me that there is somebody who is allegedly so bad at driving and so dangerous to others that they have become an internet phenomenon. And it is also terrifying.
It is terrifying. Not all horror is spooky.
Yeah.
It's a real life horror. Stay off the roads or they're going to get you.
Yeah. The body of stories about this person has so grown over time that now there are Stamble parody accounts on Reddit that will join the comment threads and post snarky comments pretending as a bit to be this driver reading the stories about themselves. It is clearly an item of folklore at this point. And it is very rare that we get to see something like that unfold in real time and mature in real time. There's so many stories of creepypastas that are just made up monsters or whatever. And the lore grows and people consciously or unconsciously start trying to make it into a thing that really exists. And communal storytelling sort of accretes around it until somebody ends up claiming that they've actually seen Slender Man, or whatever, Black-eyed kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like this has started to fall into the same camp, except this is a real person that people have actually seen and encounter on the regular. And it's not even remotely the only car-related local legend that has formed in real time via the internet.
Dude, there's a post here from 6 days ago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Here is a reference to it from 2 hours ago. Here's one from 14 hours ago. Oh my God, here's a video. Oh, that's just, okay, never mind. That's someone posting a video of someone driving poorly and then commenting that it reminds them of. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's so funny.
So there are two other really weird little instances of car-related online legends that I think are fun to talk about for just a second.
Yeah.
A little over a year ago, somebody on the Our Bowl City subreddit posted a photo of what appeared to be an abandoned sports car.
I think I know this one. Yeah.
Yeah. And they said that it had been left for many months in sort of the tall weeds in this undeveloped area outside of city limits. And they said they were also routinely seeing what they called medical gloves thrown out nearby. People immediately started speculating about what the situation was and that the car must be a crime scene and, somebody ditched it there and et cetera. And one of the first comments that I saw, somebody leapt directly from this car has been here for a long time to it's illegal organ harvesting.
I remember that one. I do remember that one.
For years, one of Durham's sort of little known but reliable pilgrimage sites was to go see the dust-covered Fiat that seemed to be abandoned in one of the city's parking decks.
Yep.
It was this tiny little red Fiat. It had been there for a long time. It's in a parking deck that's one of the older parking decks in town, and its ceilings are a little low. The floors are pretty close together. And there were users who claimed as recently as 2024 that the car had been there since 2015. I don't know that I buy that.
So you basically what you're doing right now is fleshing out the line of Cars of Durham for the vehicle portion of the action figure line.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yes. That was not planned.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That car was covered in dust and people had started writing stuff on it. And so by sheer coincidence, after Michael had mentioned to me seeing a post about this car in that parking deck, we parked in that parking deck to go see a show at the Durham Performing Arts Center. And we parked like 2 cars down from that car. And there it was. I didn't even realize it until we got out and were walking to go to DPAC. That car was covered in handwritten messages. It was really fascinating to me as the Judicolor rock of that parking deck.
I'm shocked that you didn't. Well, I know I would have. You're a better man than I. I'd have been like, get me a paper towel, wipe off a portion, Arcane Carolina sticker, and then just kept it moving.
I did not do that. Yeah. Some of those messages cannot be repeated on a show that children will listen to. But there were some that were really, really weird or poetic or just like strange. One of them was, why am I here? Handwritten under it. Another handwriting was to dance until dawn, which I really liked. One was, we heart a crusty car. One was the word community. And one was the phrase, I hope it all works out.
Be fun to go wash it and polish it, like wash and wax it, like get it real, inflate the tires, polish the tires.
There were theories online about why that car was there. One was that maybe it got stashed there by somebody who was like about to go live overseas or go serve in the military or something like that.
Yeah.
One was it got parked there by somebody who subsequently died and nobody knows where their car is, except it's got license plates. I feel like, that would work out. One was that it had been ditched after being stolen. Of course, it has license plates. That would be
right.
As with Stay Humble, the Durham parking deck car often inspired people to ask why it hadn't been towed. And usually the answer, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but the usual answer as an item of the part of the folklore around it was, well, the parking deck has so low ceilings that it's impossible to get a tow truck in. So I would see people give that as just like the ready answer with full confidence. When we parked next to it, I kind of readily admit that it gave off this aura of something to pay homage to. It was really interesting.
Start leaving it trinkets.
Yeah, it's just really, really fascinating. My favorite comment about it, though, was written in the Bull City subreddit by a user named SnoozeCoin in response to other people wondering what its origins were, and especially about the messages written on it. And what they wrote was, those aren't messages from other people written in the dust. Those are messages from the car itself.
Oh, I love that.
For what is dust to one who is buried years deep in stagnant days? Roads and races it remembers and sepia stills. It recalls its owner, long since dust themselves, and their twilight trysts with lovers long gone. These are recollected and traced the same way an old man might struggle to recall aloud words that have fallen out of use. But should you see a name written there, that is the car trying to remember who it was before it was parked for the last time and forgotten to others and itself. And I just
that's great.
Call me overly imaginative, but that is the most haunting and poetic thing. And it just gives me chills to even think about it now.
No, that's amazing. I love that.
And the thing that's different about Stay Humble is with those cars that we just talked about, the person or the persons at the center of the legend are largely present by their absence. We don't know who was behind it, and that's the question. But Stay Humble is a real person, and we know their name, and they've been on TV and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We have plenty of times skipped over a story because it was about a real and tragic crime or some instance of a real person suffering. There are Appalachian murder ballads, for instance.
Yeah.
It's kind of a recognized folk music subgenre. They're tied to real history and the real crimes but I've always skipped those because it just kind of seems like celebrating tragedy. But this is different.
Yeah.
I could argue maybe that it's not different, but this is a really highly visible instance of a community having to sort of do its own fact finding and reporting, which I think is interesting. And it's a really fascinating example of a legend being crafted around us based in fact. And then sometimes there's the game of telephone happening. And so you see those facts turn into theories, and those theories turn into, I saw where they were saying, and it's really interesting to me. And if these reports are all true, then this person kind of presents a real menace. And I think it's not unreasonable to talk about that.
Doom Rider.
Yeah, right. And like, regardless of all of that, we are in the midst of the barn raising of a new local legend. And
absolutely.
That's just like, that's the sort of thing you don't get very often.
No, it's going to be great. Kids are going to tell stories about crazy driving cars behind them, and that it was Stay Humble, 30 years from now.
Absolutely. Yeah, there will come a time when that will become purely
a ghost car. Yep.
Yeah, it'll be a ghost car. We have so many stories like that. You think about like Lydia's Bridge and the fact that you were able to prove that is actually tied to something real. Lavinia Fisher. But it's something that is real and was well documented, and there are legends about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the middle of one of those, and it's really rare these days for that to happen.
It's a good time.
It is. But that is I started to say it was a different time, except it's not. It's the now.
It's now.
It's the same time. But it's just like, I feel like that's a really fascinating instance of something very strange.
Well, thank you. I love that.
Yeah, no problem.
That's great.
To talk about it.
On the business of Arcane Carolinas, our spooky season kickoff / volume 3 book release / 5 years of Arcane Carolinas anniversary party will be on September 11th, almost 5 years to the day.
Yes.
From when we published our first set of episodes.
That's so wild.
To borrow a turn of phrase from a podcast that I like about video gaming, who has some ungodly huge number of episodes. Like, eventually you hit a point when you get enough of these things, you only celebrate 5s and 0s anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is a 5, and we're going to cross over the 150 mark on episodes this fall. So that's a 0.
Yeah.
So 5s and 0s, people.
That's going to be wild.
Yep. So we'll have tickets for that available for free, as always, soon. Keep checking out social media. Patreon backers will get first crack at those. They will be limited to the fire code because we do not want to have what happened 2 years ago where people were uncomfortable.
Including us.
There was just too many people. Too many people. We love everybody, but we do need to be able to get out of the building if there's an emergency. I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, yeah, that's everything then. Thanks for listening, y'all.
Play us off, Michael.
I will, but I'm going to do so defensively, and I'm going to keep one eye open for wild times on the information superhighway.
Stay humble on the internet.
It's such a, we're going to talk for one more second. It is so well known that somebody designed a sticker that says "Stay humble." And much like the Andre the Giant stickers from 30 years ago, you'll see those slapped up on like light poles around the triangle. And everybody who knows what it means is like, yeah.
That's great.
So wild. So yeah, anyway, thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. For more episodes, behind-the-scenes information, and links to our social media, check out www.arcanecarolinas.com, where you can also buy the Arcane Carolinas book.
And if you like award-winning horror and science fiction, check out my books at michaelgwilliamsbooks.com. And if you have story suggestions, comments, or questions, email us at arcanecarolinas@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.
sorry. The cats get destructive when they want attention.